Let's dive right into this explainer, where we are going to unpack some truly surprising, almost counterintuitive advice from Gurudev Sri Sri Ravishankar on how to actually make a relationship work. You know, if you feel like you've heard literally every piece of standard relationship advice under the sun, well, get ready. We're looking at a fascinating perspective today that completely flips the script on conventional wisdom.
To start us off, picture this scenario. A German man and an Italian woman approached the Gurudev for a blessing. Now, both of them had been married several times before, and they were hoping, quite understandably, that this time it would actually last. So the Gurudev asked the man if he spoke Italian. The answer was no. He asked the woman if she spoke German. Again, no. And neither of them spoke a word of English.
So when he realized they didn't share a single language, his gripping advice to them was simply to keep it that way. He literally told them, "Don't learn each other's language. It will work." Now I know that sounds almost like a joke at first, doesn't it? But as we're about to see, there's a really profound psychological framework behind this idea of limiting our words.
Which brings us to Section 1, the language of silence.
There is an ancient Kannada proverb that brilliantly maps out the incredible power and the dual nature of our vocabulary. Words are the starting point for conflicts, right? But they're also the medium through which we have fun, and they are the actual tools we use to gain wealth.
So what does this all mean for us? The crucial point is that because words hold this immense power to spark both tremendous wealth and devastating war, they must be rationed very, very carefully. If you're constantly talking, the source suggests you are dramatically increasing the surface area for conflict in your relationship. Ultimately, using words sparingly protects the peace.
Let's move right along to Section 2. Stop talking it out. Now, what's really interesting here is the direct contrast between what we are always taught and what the Gurudev actually advises. I mean, the absolute cliche when there's a misunderstanding is to say, hey, let's sit down and talk it out. But according to this framework, talking it out simply doesn't work. The secret? When a mistake happens, you just move on. You do not sit there and endlessly dissect the past.
And why shouldn't we dissect the past? Because forcing someone to justify or continuously explain their past mistakes just creates this unnecessary, heavy burden on them. Just think about it from your own perspective for a second. Imagine you make a mistake and your partner relentlessly demands explanations and justifications. It feels suffocating, right? When a mistake happens, it happens. The advice here is to drop the investigation entirely and simply move forward.
That heavy burden naturally leads us into Section 3, escaping the guilt trap.
The rule here is absolute. Never make the other person feel guilty. It is profoundly destructive. When you guilt trip your partner, they instinctively cease to be your friend in that exact moment. Somewhere deep inside, that fundamental tie, that core friendship bond holding your marriage together, just starts to loosen and fray.
Okay, let's really dive into this dynamic, because it is so common. Look at the comparison here. The normal human tendency is not just to make someone feel guilty, but secretly feeling a little bit happy or righteous about doing it. We have to actively rise above that normal tendency. The true skill for a long-standing relationship is figuring out how to make a person aware of their mistake without attaching that heavy, toxic weight of blame and guilt.
All right, on to Section 4, navigating ego and emotion.
Here is the core playbook. According to the Gurudev's distinct division, the advice states that a woman must consistently build up her man's ego, while a man must fiercely protect and never trample on the woman's emotions. Let's break down exactly what this looks like in practice, starting with the women.
This brings us to a major risk regarding ego. The source states that even if the whole world thinks your partner has no brains, you must call him the most intelligent person on the planet. Seriously, if a wife constantly tells her husband he's good for nothing, her harsh words will literally turn him into exactly that, a vegetable. Pumping his ego is presented as absolutely essential for his confidence and the overall health of the bond.
Now guys, listen up, because here is a classic emotional trap for the men. Step 1, she comes to you complaining about her brother, her mother, or her family. Step 2, you try to be supportive, right? You nod, you join the bandwagon, agreeing with her complaints. Step 3, absolute disaster. She instantly spins 180 degrees and attacks you, asking how you dare say such things about her family.
So what on earth is a man supposed to do to avoid stepping on her emotions? Well, the source's advice here is highly specific. If she wants to go on a religious yatra, see a movie, or go shopping, you don't argue or overanalyze. You simply agree and hand over the credit card.
By accommodating these desires without friction, you avoid stepping on her emotional state entirely.
And that brings us to our final part, Section 5, the proof of love.
Notice how a really subtle shift in phrasing changes the entire dynamic of the relationship. We're told never to ask, "Do you really love me?" or to complain, "Why don't you love me?" Instead, if you feel their affection is lacking, you should just ask, "Why do you love me so much?" It's a game changer because it completely eliminates the exhausting burden of forcing your partner to constantly defend their feelings.
By assuming their love is vast, even if you're kind of feeling a bit insecure in the moment, you remove those heavy, demanding complaints that ultimately just push a partner away. Never give someone the burden to prove their love for you. It's an act of deep trust that creates space for the relationship to breathe, rather than suffocating it with constant demands for reassurance. So, looking back at this whole fascinating playbook, from not talking out your mistakes to dodging that guilt trap, navigating ego and emotions, and finally removing the burden of proof, I want you to really think about which of these surprising tactics you need to start using today. Is it biting your tongue instead of forcing a deep conversation? Or maybe flipping how you ask for love?
If you found this explainer eye-opening, please make sure to hit that like button, drop a comment below with which tip surprised you the absolute most, share this with your partner or someone you love, and of course, subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on more gripping explainers. But before you go, ask yourself, what would happen to your relationship today if you simply decided to stop talking so much? Thanks for hanging out with us, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.